I was on a boat yesterday, man. It was fun. It was like a pontoon boat with a motor, you know.
Oh man.
Yeah, I actually was in Pennsylvania. It was like, Pocono Mountains,
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah.
lake, something with a W, Wallapanak, or I don't know what it was called, but really beautiful lake, man. Like
Were you
13,
fishing?
14. No, just, with
Just
the family, just having fun. We jumped in a couple times. We tried to do water
oh,
tubing, but I got a bad sunburn, but I'm like sweating my butt off now. Burning.
All right, let's do this.
it was hot in Pennsylvania yesterday. It was like 90 degrees.
Yeah,
Me too, man. Yeah.
it's been pretty hot here in Michigan, but today it's just raining, nonstop rain.
Oh
Oh
man.
wow.
We needed the rain though, so.
Yeah.
All right, let's do this. You guys ready?
Yep.
All right. All right, guys, welcome back to the 24 Down Podcast, episode 7. We got a real cool episode today. Not only do we have our guest, but I'm joined by one of our co-hosts, Vincent Buda. He's going to be helping us out here with this interview, but we are interviewing Pete Sensenig. And I know this is a interview a lot of people were looking forward to. Pete's one of those guys that everybody on the floor loved. You couldn't not love this guy. I kind of wanted to start off the episode. So Big Rick had a bunch of questions, but within his questions, he said something that I think this is a great way to just start things and set the tone. So Rick said that Pete was the most godly man on campus, or that he's ever met in his life, to be honest. He always would have a godly perspective to share. If you wanted his opinion on something that was borderline right or wrong, Pete was the guy for that, and I loved him for that. So, I mean, and I can't agree with that anymore. Pete, we're going to kind of let you take over here for a little bit. If you want to catch everybody up, what's been happening since post Valley Forge up until now, and you can take as long as you want, and I'm just going to let you go.
Sounds good. Thank you, Josh. I've been loving listening to these podcasts, and I just want to say you have an awesome voice for radio, man. You have like that deep voice that just sounds great on on audio. So I love it. But really been enjoying the podcast. So yeah, since I graduated Valley Forge in 08, and I can't believe it's been like 12 years ago. But so a lot of you guys know my family had a family business, a hardware store. And so the plan was I did study business. I saw some of Rick's questions, so I might be touching on them a little bit here in my summary. But I studied business at Valley Forge, and Buda, he tried to get me saved a lot, but I was like, no, I want to do business, man. So I studied business, and in 2009, I bought into the family business. I bought out my grandmother's share, which was like the smallest share in the business. And I ended up working in the hardware store for 10 years. So a year and a half ago, I actually left the hardware store. Just like there was just different visions with me and my partners, and I wanted to do some things and they want to do some things. And so I was kind of like, you know what, I'm gonna step out and do something else. So I've been working since about the end of 2018. I've been working at as a parts manager, selling trailer parts for a trailer dealer about close to Lancaster. So that's been good. It's something I never thought I would do. I always thought I would be in that business for life, but I'm kind of excited to see I don't think I'll be there forever. I'm kind of excited to see what's next. I also picked up auctioneering. I think I was into it a little bit in college, but after college, I got really into auctioneering. And so I think I saw one of Rick's Big Daddy's questions about that. So I won't go too far into that, but that's like a little sideline business I'm doing, trying to build that up. Couple highlights since college. I think a lot of you guys know me and like senior year, me and Buda and Nate Camfin lived together in the big room. I forget. I think it was like 117 or something. And so after college, Nate, his family lived, originally they were from Maine. Then they moved to Washington, D.C. while he was going to Valley Forge. after Valley Forge, they moved to Lancaster. So me and Nate were pretty close to each other geographically. So we still hung out a lot. And in 2009, we went on a road trip. We took off, like, he wanted to quit his job. So he quit his job. We went on like a 3.5 week road trip we drove out to California and back, and it was awesome. Just me and Nate. And there was a couple friends we had along the way. We stopped and saw Justin Banks, and I forget if we saw any more college people on that trip, but some other friends that we had. So that was really cool. That was a highlight. Then in 2012, I got married my wife, Kara, and had 2 kids. I have a son. He's 6 years old, and my daughter she's going to be 4 in October. So I think we're done having kids. I think 2's enough. So, but yeah, so that's pretty much like just the basic timeline since college, hitting a couple, major highlights.
No, that's good. I know there were some questions that we'll get into a little bit, but just to kind of touch on some of the stuff that you covered. I know Rick in particular, he was talking about how he knows that you saved yourself for marriage and everything like that, and he wanted to know how you met your wife and how you knew that she was the one for you.
I met my wife. Okay, so I guess I dated a lot of girls, sort of, but a lot of the relationships were pretty short. And there was this girl, my wife went to our church, and I was like, I admired her kind of like from far, but I kind of thought she was like maybe out of my league or something like that. And so I was kind of like, I don't know, maybe. And then I remember I was actually talking to my mom the one day. I was pretty close with my mom, and I was talking to her, and she's like, you know what? I would give you probably like a 7 out of 10 chance with this girl. I was like, 7 out of 10. That's pretty darn good. So I ended up like, I was like, how do I she worked at the church and was like in kind of like a leadership. She was actually like the director of like the prayer ministry. So I'm like, how do I get to know this girl? Like, it's a little weird walking up to a girl in church and being like, trying to get to know her without it being kind of creeperish. So I actually went out on one of the events that she was leading, and I was like, maybe I can get to know her this way a little bit. And so I ended up getting to know her through that, just briefly. Then I found out that she worked in a hardware store before. At the time, I was still working at the hardware store, and so I was excited about that. And eventually, I think we started like Facebook messaging each other, and then we went out on a date and everything. And it happened really fast. I was 27. She was a few years older than me. So we had our first date in February. We got engaged in May, and we got married in October. So we were not messing around, but it's quite the story. Thanks for asking that, Rick.
Nice. If I can get in here.
Sure.
What's up, Pete? What's up, Josh? It's so awesome to be here with you guys. I want to go back to the wedding day because I was there. Thank God I was invited, and bro, it was awesome just being in the church that you talk so much. Are you guys still at Petra? Is that what it's called?
We are. Yep.
Okay, cool. Awesome.
Yeah.
And so I remember being there. What a big, nice church that was. And then we went to an amazing place. What was that place called where we ate?
The buffet. I think we had the reception at Shady Maple.
Yeah.
Josh?
Yeah, was that was the like the brunch place, right?
They have a really good breakfast buffet, and they also have like huge like rooms for venues, like for weddings and business meetings and stuff like that.
Awesome, man. Yeah, and I've always heard about the place, and finally I was there for your wedding, and it was good. It was great. But I remember, man, and I hope this doesn't offend your wife in any way, but I remember you had a time where people came up and said something about you or your wife. Do you remember that? And there was a couple college guys there, but there was a lot of people, and we like 80 to 90% of the things said were all nice things about Pete, and saying like this guy is like right behind Jesus and everything. That was the joke on the floor and everything. And I remember I said something. I think Samsung said something, and there was a couple people of us, but there's so many were saying such nice things about you, but like only a couple for your wife. And it was so funny. And there were some people that knew your wife and would go up and say, listen, Pete is really good, but she's good too, and everything. It was like the funniest thing. I just wanted to add that.
That was funny. Yeah, I remember that.
Well, I guess, I mean, if you think about it, like all those good things that were said about Pete, and all rightfully so. At the end of the day, like this was the woman that Pete chose. So for him to choose her, that's got to say a lot of great things about her as well, you know. And no, that's pretty cool. That's funny though. I like that.
Yeah.
Um, so we got like, I'm trying to think if there was any other questions that relate to prior things, you know, or post Valley Forge things. I know.
I was gonna ask something about parenting, man, because I know my thing with parenting. I know Josh doesn't have any kids yet, right?
No.
And I remember back in college, you said you don't want kids, you don't want to bring any kids into this crazy world. But Pete, how was it having your first kid and then your second kid? And I heard that you are done, and I thought I was done at 2 also. I wish we did stop at 2, but I love my third child, but it was just so hard. Almost 2
Yeah.
years old now. But how is it being a parent?
It's awesome. There's nothing like it. Especially like the actual like being with, you know, your wife when she gives birth and stuff. I was kind of scared. I was a little nervous. I had some people tell me what kind of, you know, give me kind of like what to expect. But and it's fun, but at the same time, it's probably like one of the hardest things you'll ever do. Like just you just you're responsible for other human beings, you know, your own human beings, and it's a challenge sometimes. Like there's days I come home from work and I don't really feel like playing with my kids, or I just want to sit down for a moment. But it's like the moment you walk in the door, you know what I'm talking about. They're like tackling you and stuff, and it's awesome. And at the same time, it's a challenge, but I definitely wouldn't trade it. If I would have got married a little bit younger, and if my wife was a little bit younger, I think we would have waited a few more years, because we had my son like a year and a half, I think, or close to 2 years after we got married. I would have loved to just be with just me and my wife for like 5 years or something. But we kind of wanted to have a couple kids, and we just didn't want to wait too long. But yeah, it's definitely cool.
Yeah, man. Your kids are awesome. They look so cute, beautiful. After this COVID thing, man, we got to get together, bro. We got to get
Yeah,
together
we
with the kids,
do.
bro.
We really do.
It'll be fun, man. Josh, you're invited too, man. You can bring
All
your
right.
wife.
I'll bring my dog or something.
There you go.
So there was a few people that had questions kind of about the auctioneer thing. You know, Andrew Kindler, he wanted to know how the quietest person in 24 Down became an auctioneer, and Rick, you know, also asked how you became an auctioneer. And I know you touched on it was something that you were a little bit into
Mhm.
in college. And it's the other thing Rick wants to know is, was it hard to learn the fast talking lingo? So a lot of
Yeah.
questions there. You know, how the quietest person became an auctioneer. Was it hard to learn the lingo? You know, so I'll let you kind of answer those things.
Yeah, sure. Yeah, that's funny actually. Andrew's thing about being the quietest person. A lot of people don't know this about me, but I really can talk a lot. And when I was a kid, actually, my mom had to ask me to stop talking so much. And most people like they just think that's funny because I'm an introvert. So I tend to be like not necessarily the center of attention. If I'm around a bunch of people, I'll kind of hang back. But I can be a big talker around people I know and stuff, and I'm sure Buddha knows that too. Um, but yeah, so it was something I was always fascinated by. My dad used to go to a lot of auctions. It was kind of a hobby of his, as well as my grandfather. So I would go and I would hear the auctioneer, and I'd be like, "That's so cool," and I would try to practice and stuff. And then when I kind of got serious about it, I'm like, I am so into this. Like I'm watching auctioneers on YouTube. Like I don't know who does that, but I'm like, if I'm this passionate about this, I'm gonna try to make money doing it. So I watched a bunch of YouTube videos. I practiced a ton and a lot, like all the time, driving in the shower, and just everywhere. I probably drove my wife nuts for that season, but I kind of got it down. And then it's kind of like the kind of thing you don't necessarily lose once you have it. I mean, you can always improve it, but and the way I actually got my license was there's two ways you can do it in Pennsylvania. You can go to school to like a community. There's like 3 community colleges that offer auctioneering classes, or you can apprentice with an auctioneer for 2 years. So that's what I did. I did the apprentice thing. I apprenticed for 2 years. And then when I was done, I didn't feel like that company was a good fit. So I kind of started my own company, which I haven't done a ton with. I've done a few auctions. But at that point, I got my license with the state. So I'm licensed as an auctioneer. I can sell houses. I can sell anything pretty much over auction in Pennsylvania. It doesn't necessarily reciprocate with other states.
That's crazy, man. Like just the, I guess it's like a profession that like I don't ever even really think about, but it's obviously something that's for you, it's a passion. For other people that do it, it's a passion. And the skill set that it takes to do that, I mean, I don't think I would be able to do that. Like maybe with classes and stuff like that. But even so, man, like I think that's a really cool thing that you do. It's something that you're passionate about, and you're making it a little side business for yourself. Like,
Yeah.
That's awesome. That's awesome.
Yeah, it's a lot of fun. It's you got to be good with, basically it's counting and it's having a conversation. You're basically having a conversation with the crowd. Like I have, someone willing to give $10. Will you give 15? But it's much faster paced. And it's just a lot of fun. It's entertaining too. You got to keep your audience engaged. And now there's a lot of people getting into, like, there's online, some auctioneers will have real-time online bidding simultaneous with their live auction, so they can expand their crowd. So there's this one gun auction I was watching the other day where there's people all over the US bidding on guns or whatever, like hunting guns and stuff, or whatever they're selling, and you can click and you can bid, from your computer. You can also attend the auction in person. So it's cool. I don't know. I think it's cool.
That's awesome. And so just a short question that I have about the whole thing is, if you're doing an auction that lasts, I mean, I don't know how long they normally last, but let's say you're doing an auction that lasts an hour. How many bottles of water do you go through?
I would probably do like 1 bottle of water for that. The one auction I was working at, I don't work at that one anymore, but we would start at 1 every Friday. The auction was every Friday. I worked every other Friday. We would start at 1:30 in the afternoon and finish up around 11, 12 at night. So it's about 10 hours, but we would alternate. So I would go up for an hour, then you get a break for an hour. The other guy comes up. So you can kind of catch your breath, but it is definitely a muscle that you have to grow. The very first time I got up, I was so nervous, but besides that, my throat got so dry, like instantly. And fortunately, the lady next to me that was clerking, like entering like the bidders' numbers and how much they paid, she's like, "Here's a cough drop." She's like, "Auctioneers always use these." So now I always have a cough drop in my pocket, because you can always pop that in and it kind of, keeps your throat moist and stuff.
Yeah, that's crazy. So like, I mean, like I know like musicians, like vocalists and stuff like that, they've got all kinds of different warm-up routines, or like they'll drink straight up like olive oil or things like that to like lubricate their throats and stuff. Like, do you have like warm-up routines and things like that?
I have like a couple verbal exercises I usually do, like driving there on the way. I run through a couple drills, and I don't really do anything too much other than trying to be well hydrated and just be, prepared. And I'll run through some of those drills, like some tongue twisters and stuff, like rubber baby buggy bumper and stuff like that. So
That's awesome.
Just to get loosened up. You know what I mean?
I didn't know those things go that long. I thought it was like you come in for an hour or two and then you're done, but you're going like a half a day.
It depends. If you're just selling your house, like if someone is just selling their house, yeah, you'll probably be done in 45 minutes. But the auction I worked at, people brought things on consignment. So anybody could bring their stuff like the week before, and he would organize all this stuff, and we would run it all through the auction, and then they would get a check at the end of the week.
Yeah, that's cool. I had a quick question, because I've met your parents a couple times and love them. They're just awesome people, just like you. How are your parents? And also with the hardware store, with you not working there, does your dad still work there? What is it called now? Because I know it was Sensenig Hardware. You lived on Sensenig Road or something like that. So just update us on that.
Yeah. So my parents are doing well. My dad is still running the business. He kind of stepped back in, sort of. He was always a partner, but when I was there, I was in the general manager position. And so I was pretty much running the business. So when I decided to move on, then he kind of stepped back into that role. So he's really busy with that. But him and my mom are doing well. We actually I live on, not on Sensenig Road, but at the intersection of Sensenig and Centerville. My mailbox is on Centerville Road. So I live right across the street from my parents. They watch the kids while my wife works and stuff like that. So, yeah.
Yeah, that definitely works out, man.
It was difficult to leave the family business. It was a big step. It was really hard, but I'm definitely glad. I think I made the right choice, and I think the relationships are well. So
That's cool, man. Yeah, I'm friends with your mom on Facebook, so I get to see the kids every once in a while. And she really likes being with them. That's the best, man. My dad is retired. My mom actually works for me. She's my assistant. So, my dad is up with the kids. My dad lives downstairs. We live upstairs. So
yeah,
it really works. We haven't had to pay for childcare ever. That's great. And it's with
that's
people
awesome.
you trust.
Yeah.
That's awesome. So I don't know if Buddha's got any more questions. I'll let him ask more if he's got some, but I'll go into one question I have right here too. So this one's another question from Big Daddy. He wants to know what your favorite Big Daddy moment is.
My favorite Big Daddy moment. You know what? I almost forgot about this one, and it's not in my notes, but I'm glad you asked that because Big Daddy. I have a lot of good Big Daddy memories. I loved having him on the floor. He was a lot of fun, and I think we covered this in his episode or whatever. He would also get serious and have really good conversations. I played baseball with him senior year, so me and him would carpool to the batting cages, and we just had a lot of fun. But I remember this was before I knew Big Daddy real well. Probably I can't remember if he came the same year as me and Buddha. I think he was like the next year, if I remember right. He was like 2005 or 6 or whatever. But so I think he had been working out the day before, like working his shoulders. And I met him in the bathroom because, the community bathrooms in 24. So I walk in there, Big Daddy's in there shirtless, trying to I think he's brushing his teeth and he's just struggling with getting his hair. He's like, hey man, would you mind just helping me gel my hair? He's like, I worked out my shoulders yesterday and I can't even lift them up that high. And it was so funny to me, but I was like, sure, man. So I got some gel, I spiked up. He told me how, wanted me to do it and stuff, but it was just so funny. And it was just cool because Big Daddy, that's just who Big Daddy is. Like, he's like, I don't even know how to fully put it into words, but just like his like straight up honesty with you, and he's comfortable with that. Like, he has no problem just asking you to help him do his hair, and it wasn't weird or anything. I just thought it was amusing because I don't know, my personality, I probably wouldn't have done that, but I thought it was awesome that he did, and I was glad to help him out.
That's awesome. I mean, I can obviously I wasn't there, but I can see that exact thing going down. Like, I could just picture it because I can see Big Daddy being the kind of guy to ask for that because that's just who he is, and I can see you being the kind of guy to be like, yeah, I'll help. You want me to do something to help? Like, I'll help. Even though you didn't even know him that well. Like, that's, I mean, that it kind of says something about both of you guys in a good way. That's a pretty cool story. Booty, I got a few more questions from other people, but
Yeah, I got some, man. We can wait on these if they might be within the, when you talk about 24 down. But I wanted to know, like, what were your first impressions of 24 down? Like, when you first got there, of Valley Forge, and really like our floor and the people on it.
Yeah, sure. So I got there, I believe it was like during the normal orientation period. My parents were driving behind me because I had my car there. So I drove onto the campus, met the what they called start teams that we did. Like, they had start team volunteers and stuff out there. And I'm trying to remember what my first impression was of the dorm. I think I was fine. It was an older building from the outside, but I think if I remember right, they had recently painted and done some stuff. So it didn't look terrible when you walked in. My roommate was Toby. Remember Toby Meadows? So we got along good. He was like a real people person. I was kind of I was an introvert. I stayed in the room a lot. I was like, I was like trying to be a good student and stuff. And not that he wasn't, but he was really, really about relationships, making a lot of friends. And I think we had some friends in common. I can't remember, but, my first impression was, I think it was fine. It was a difficult transition for me. I'm not a big change kind of guy, so and not real big on trying brand new things and meeting a bunch of new people. So it was a little overwhelming. And I actually remember I almost didn't make it past Christmas. I was really thinking about dropping out, and then I was like, I went home for Christmas break, and I was like, and I talked, with my family, my friends and stuff, and I decided to come back and stick it out. And I think, if I remember right, when I came back from Christmas, I think that's when I met Buddha, or I knew who he was, but I think I started to hang out with Buddha and Walter and I think Ronell. And so I started to finally feel like I kind of found my groove a little bit. I found some people I was comfortable with, found some people I could go eat dinner with and things like that. And I really enjoyed the next part of that year.
That's crazy, man, that it did take that long to kind of mesh yourself into like the 24 down, I guess, way of life and culture. Because for me, like on the other podcast that I was on, it was like, it took me about 2-3 weeks. But yeah, I remember, yeah, you were the, obviously the quiet guy and everything like that. Yeah, Ronell for my phone's going off. Do you guys hear that?
No.
Okay, good,
No.
good. So yeah, Ronell, he was there for, I think, either a semester or a year and a semester or something like that. Really
Yeah.
awesome guy. Me and Pete were in his wedding just after knowing him for like a year, man. And he actually left Valley Forge, and then he started talking to a girl right before he left and married a girl from Valley Forge. He was a guy that, went home every weekend. He had a job and everything. He was like the marching band coach. And I think Pete, you went home pretty much every weekend too, right? You were only like an hour away or something. Yeah. And so, but then, yeah, we started to get to know each other, that second semester. Walter also, we got to get Walter around now. We got to get these guys on. I know Josh doesn't know them, but to hear their story, man, they're part of the beginnings of 24 Down. Walter now is in Hawaii. I think he's a chef. He was only there for about a year as well, but he did come that, that second semester and everything. So that's cool, man. I have more questions, but Josh, you go ahead. I'll.
So the only other questions that I've got from people, these they're probably going to be touched on. I would imagine they're going to be touched on, Pete, when you go through your stories. I will just kind of tease them now and you let me know if you didn't plan on getting into these questions, and you can answer them. But I think you're going to get to these stories. Matt Baldwin, as well as some others, have asked how bad did it hurt when you hit the pole? The pole thing is synonymous with Pete, like, because we got Matthias, same thing. He asks if there's any long-term effects from the collision with the pole. So that's like the pole story. I imagine you're going to get into. And then the other question Matthias had too was what your most memorable 24 down intramural game is. And I have a feeling you're going to get to that as well. But I just wanted to make sure that their names are heard. You knew that, they ask questions and stuff.
Yeah, that's cool. Thank you.
Yeah, so I'm assuming you plan on getting to both of those, right?
Yeah, I probably would. Do you want me to do it now, or do you want me to?
It's up to you. Unless Buddha wants to ask his questions first.
Go into it, man, because I think I'll have something to say after it. More memories will come up. So I want to hear that pole story because I was there.
Story.
I heard it and everything.
Yeah, Buddha heard me praying to Jesus after I hit the pole, and he still thought, I think he brought it up in his podcast, but I thought I was injured a lot worse than I was. But I think you guys described the story pretty well. I was on defense. It was raining. It was pretty dark, but the library lights kind of dimly lit up that grassy area. And I don't remember who I was covering, but I think I was playing cornerback, and I went back to covering my guy on a deep pass, and I was watching the quarterback, and I think the football actually hit the pole. So I was just following the course of the ball. I basically straddled the pole. I remember people coming out from the library like, what was that noise? Because it was like, dong, ran into this big aluminum pole. But I think my head and my entire midsection smacked into the pole, and I thought I broke my pelvis or something. I was in a lot of pain, but and I remember there was this guy there. I don't even know who he was, but he was on campus security, and he's like, "Oh, you guys got to get him to the ER right away and stuff." And I was like, so I think I can't remember. Buddha might have driven me to the hospital. I don't even remember who took me. But I went into the ER. I was in there, they put me in the gown and in the bed, and I'm laying there, and I think they did x-rays, but there was nothing broken. So they pretty much gave me some cream for the lacerations and said, you're going to be fine. So that was that. But it definitely ended the game very abruptly. I don't remember. I think we were tied 0-0 or no, maybe we each had a touchdown. I can't remember, but I know that it didn't ruin our perfect record of never being beaten. So 24 up was probably mad about that they still hadn't beaten us. But that was quite the
Yo, man.
Anybody has footage of that? I think I had it and I lost it because I remember taking it home and showing it to my friends at home. And they're like, whoa, but I don't think I think I lost that footage. It was on an old laptop. So I don't know if Josh Lee or anybody has that footage. Did you guys tape the games, Hat? Or
So here's the thing is
sometimes would videotape games and stuff. I don't know.
Yeah, I don't remember. So I don't know do you remember what year this was? Because and I could be wrong, but in my memory, I either wasn't at college yet, or for whatever reason, I didn't go to that game.
Okay.
Because my memory of this story was all painted through people telling the story. I wasn't there, but I could picture it because I've heard it so many times. I know, Baldwin had asked the question about the poll, and John Simmons said he remembered it too, and I couldn't. I was like, well, if I wasn't there yet, I don't think Simmons was there yet. So does that mean even more people knew from hearing the story? But I think Baldwin did mention that there's a video. I don't know who had the video. I know Junior has a ton of videos from Valley Forge, so he might have it. Maybe Josh Lee. I don't know. If you're out there listening and you have the video, we got to get a hold of this video again.
Yeah. I think it was. I don't think it was as early as our second year, because that would mean that you wouldn't be there. I don't remember it being our second year. I just remember there was so much trash being talked. We said we weren't going to play because I think the game before, Banks broke his ankle and got a concussion, and another guy got a concussion. So we said, because not all of us have insurance, let's stop playing. And then there was just so much trash talking, we couldn't take it anymore, and we just went there. It was such a legendary thing that happened, man. And then just the boy, it was just crazy, bro. It was like, God have mercy on my soul. And it was, someone has to. If you guys have videos, you have to put it out there on YouTube. Put 24 down. Let us all know about it. We'll put it on the page. We got to see this footage, man.
For sure. Yeah, I know I was talking to Junior a while back because he showed me some of the stuff he had on one of the first Zoom calls that we did. He was just showing everybody some different pictures, and everybody's like, Junior, where do these pictures and videos come from? How do you still have these? He's got a bunch of stuff, so I know he's gonna try working on getting some stuff up there. But yeah, it'd be great if anybody's got pictures, videos, whatever, post them up. Let us all continue to share in these memories and everything like that. I know Buddha's got some more questions too, and I guess the only other remaining one from Matthias, I believe, was what your favorite or most memorable 24 down intramural game was.
My most memorable game was probably the first year that we won the Patriot Bowl in football, flag football. That was just awesome. I think we had been practicing a lot. We took it way more seriously than everyone else. I don't even know if we had the most athletic team, but we definitely had the most organized team. I believe Nate was with us that first year, and so he was like we would always go out and practice after everyone was done with class. Like I forget, maybe before dinner or after dinner, we would go out, we would run routes, we had our plays, and we were just really organized. And I think that's the reason that we beat those teams, because no one was as dedicated to practice and just learn their plays and stuff. But that was, and my memory, the best part about it was really fun. We all went out and bought like Under Armour cutoff shirts to show off our muscles and stuff. When we bought them, we bought like a size, 1 or 2 sizes too small to make us look bigger and stuff like that. But and then the best part, I think we did mohawks the one year and eye black and stuff. But I think the best part was afterwards, after we won. We both years we did this, I think, and I don't know if the whole team did, but we would just crash in somebody's room and just put on the theme music from Friday Night Lights. It's just like instrumental music. We would play it on loop for like an hour and a half, and we would just all lay in our beds, and because we were tired and stuff. And then I think we would go out to the Chinese buffet. So it was just a lot of fun.
Yeah, man. I remember also, like, there was a couple times where it was either the Patriot Bowl or going against another, floor, where sometimes it was, maybe you were there. I can't remember. I think you were there. It was like me, you, Justin Banks, Nate, in one room. And then they would just be like, okay, guys, let's trash talk. And it's not even like you're trash talking someone in front of you. It's like, yeah, I'm going to throw them up and break their necks and put my hand in their stomach and rip their stomach out. I'm like sitting there. I'm like, what the heck are these guys talking about, man? I'm like, yeah, I'm gonna beat them, woohoo, and stuff. It's so funny.
Another memory from that game, I just real quick, I think Buddha had sunscreen on his arms. Was that you? You and Neil? And
Yeah.
One of the guys on the other team, like, I don't even remember who, but somebody that was like kind of nitpicking, was upset that we were beating them or whatever. Like, yo, ref, these guys put lotion on themselves to be more slippery and stuff like that. Because all of our linemen had this like so much sunscreen on, and I don't know if it was to be slippery or to protect themselves from the sun, or maybe a little bit of both. But it was just so funny because Buddha's like, "No, man, it's sunscreen."
Yeah, bro. It was that big tall guy that was kind of like a senior when we first got there, or something like that, and then got a job at the school. So he was like a staff member playing on the team, and like he was trying to say that we were cheating. I really don't remember if we put that on there to be slippery or what, because we all had cutoffs, and like you said, we were pretty much wearing like undergarments, Under Armour, you know what I mean? And but we were all black, and I just remember you said we were the most organized. I believe that. We may have not have been the most athletic, but we were up there. But the other thing was we were unified, because not only did we have the what is it called, the Mohawks, there were people that weren't even playing that also got the Mohawks. Matthias gave free Mohawks to everyone. It was crazy, man. So we were definitely unified, and you felt that.
So one thing that my memory might be wrong, but I'm pretty sure, I guess it's just a little interesting fact, that I believe it was the Patriot Bowl that the 24 down flag debuted at, if I remember correctly, because from my memory, like I said, when I first came, I was really close with the Brazilian twins. And that first semester, we would go do everything that was 24 down related, but we were still trying to get ourselves into 24 down. Like we weren't, we were the new guys, And so I remember going to intramural basketball games, and I think at that point, all we had was like little posters, little signs that we had made. And then when the Patriot Bowl came that year, I remember, my memory could be wrong, but I remember sitting in the room, let's make a flag, take a broom handle that was probably in the bathroom or something like that, and then like took one of our bed sheets and cut it up and found some spray paint or something. I don't remember, but I think the flag debuted at the Patriot Bowl, I believe.
I'm pretty sure it did, because there's pictures on it that I have on Facebook, and the flag was there, and that was the first time I think we saw it. Yeah. So yeah, Pete. Real quick. So this is like this is not technically a 24 down question, but just real quick. Did Valley Forge prepare you well for your, career in business, or did you kind of already know certain things before and just put them into place? How was like the education at Valley Forge? Not really a 24 down question, but because I was a
Right.
ministry major, I feel like they did prepare me somewhat, but in a lot of other ways they didn't. So just your take on that.
Yeah, sure. The business program it was pretty new, I think, when I was a freshman, and I remember it was kind of possibly a little bit understaffed. Like they didn't have a lot of professors dedicated to the business. Like they had one or two, maybe full time, or maybe one full time, one part time. So it was kind of a small program, but I definitely learned a lot. And I had some of the there was definitely a couple of the professors that really impacted me, and I really did learn a lot from. And I still think of things I learned from them. So I think it did, and it was good. I also think that I learned a lot just by doing it too. Like there's nothing you can't really replace like hands-on experience, just being out there and kind of like being in the quote unquote real world, and doing business. But I think it was pretty good. It was definitely very helpful. Learned a lot of stuff. There was one point actually where I almost transferred from Valley Forge after my sophomore year, I think it was. I was gonna, because I had a buddy of mine that was going to a university, and I was kind of like, I want to go experience a real college, kind of. I want to go to a college that has a football team, real, I think they were like Division 3 or Division 2. They weren't like a D1 school, but still, I had gone with a friend to a Penn State game, and I sat in the student section. I was like, this is awesome. Like, I got to go to a bigger school. And they had a really good business program. But I ended up driving there for orientation. I mean, I was going to go, but it would have set me back too much. I would have been in college for like an extra year and a half or something. I was like, that's too much. So I went back to Valley Forge, and I definitely don't regret it. It was great. I had 2 more really good years at Valley Forge.
And that was actually one of my next questions. Like right after, I was like, yo, I have it down here. Yo, bro, what happened to the whole not coming back thing? Because we had like a huge going away party for Pete. We had a bonfire. It was amazing. We were wearing Sensitive Hardware hats and everything, almost crying that this guy wasn't coming back. And then all of a sudden, I didn't hear anything. I don't know if Nate heard something or anything, but then all of a sudden, Pete shows up the next year, and we're like, Pete, you're back. And we're so happy, but we were like shocked and stuff. So I guess that was the answer pretty much, right?
Yep, pretty much. Yeah, Nate never lets me forget. Uh, Me, like he says, I pretended to leave college so I could have a party, and then I came back. But it was cool. I don't know if you ever made it out to one of the. I think twice we came to my house. I know Andrew, the English twins, Tom Rizzo, like a bunch of the girls, Buddha, Nate, everyone, a bunch of people were there. I don't remember if you ever made it out to one of those, but we would come, like my house was about an hour away. So we would go and make a bonfire, have a lot of fun, and then just go back. I don't think we spent the night. I think it was just for the evening, but yeah, that's pretty much what happened. I was set to transfer. I was talking with this college. They had my transcripts and everything. Over the phone, they made it sound like a simple process. When I got there for like the summer orientation, it was like a few weeks before school was going to start. And we actually sat down, and they were telling me which classes transferred and which ones didn't. And there was a bunch of classes from Valley Forge that they didn't know what to do with them. And so I'm like, I really don't want to be in college an extra year and a half. And I was kind of having second thoughts about leaving all you guys, like all my friends from Valley Forge, and just jumping ship. So I think I made the right decision. It was tough. My buddy was kind of mad at me that I ditched him, but he got over it. So
Yeah, man, we're glad you didn't go, man, because I think that was after your second year. Am I right?
yeah,
Yeah. So then we had 2 more years with you. I got to room with you that last year, but I think I was upset a lot because I think either you and Nate were gonna room or me and you were gonna room like that next year, but because you weren't coming back, we couldn't. So I think that's when I roomed with Nate. I told Tim I was gonna room with him, but then I double crossed him. Sorry, Tim, if you're listening. And I went with Nate, but yeah, I definitely remember that. Yeah, go through your roommates with us real quick, like your
Yeah, I was
roommates
just
year
thinking
to
of
year,
that.
and and describe them a little bit to us because that they might be listening as well.
So my first roommate was Toby. Toby was really cool. He was easy to get to know, very outgoing personality, which was good for me because I needed someone to kind of, you know, I needed someone to like I could kind of like tag along with, make friends and stuff. So he was really good. He was into sports. He loved playing basketball, so we got along good. We played sports together and stuff. I think eventually we kind of each found our group of friends, so we didn't like maybe like half like maybe when I came back from Christmas, I don't think I hung out with Toby quite as much. I got along with him and we were cool, but I think I kind of started hanging out with Buddha and some other people. And I can't remember. Yeah, he was definitely there the whole first year. So he was my roommate. And near the end of the year, he wasn't sure if he was going to come back. So I decided he wanted me to room with him again, but I said, I don't know if I want to take the risk because if you don't come back, then I'll get stuck with someone I don't know. So I ended up asking Neil to be my roommate, Neil Everett. And I was just laughing out loud when you guys were talking about the first year when Neil was losing his hair and just laying in his room. And we were all like, what, is he dying? And like, there was like hair on his pillow and stuff. And then he went home. He got his vitamins. He got his glass jugs of spring water, and he came back and he was like a new man. And but anyway, Neil was awesome. I roomed with Neil for my sophomore year. We got along good. He played a ton of video games. I wasn't a big gamer, so I remember just like I figured out that I could, if I didn't block his view, I could reach in front of the screen and turn the volume down when I was ready to go to bed. So I would turn the Halo volume down. I would climb up into my top bunk and everything. But we got along good. I liked Neil. I can't remember. So, oh yeah, that was, so then I said I wasn't coming back. So I didn't room with Neil my next year. I came back and I wanted to be on 24. And so I got it. My roommate was John Skank. Do you guys remember John Skank? So John he was an interesting guy. I think he kind of had his own group of friends that he hung out with. We didn't have a ton of things in common. I think he had a girlfriend too, if I remember right. So he really didn't spend much time in the room. I didn't get to know him super well, but again, we got along pretty well. Most times I'm not hard to get along with. I don't think he was hard to get along with. So we were fine. And then I remember my senior year, I think I told someone else I would room with them too. And then we were going to apply for the apartment, I think. And then that one was taken or something. So, or the lottery, I think there was like a lottery system and our numbers weren't good enough. So Buddha and Nate were like, and they had already lived together the year before. And I spent a lot of time in their room because I was friends with them. And they're like, hey, we should all get the triple down at the end of the hall. So I was like, oh yeah. So I think I might have bailed on someone too, but that was definitely my best year roommate wise. That was so much fun living with, because the other guys, I got along well with them, but I guess I didn't develop like a real tight relationship with them. But you guys I was already friends with, and it definitely, we just got closer being in the same room. We had a lot of fun.
Yeah, man. We didn't have a lot of problems. Like you and Nate got together really well because you guys were both business majors, had almost some of the same classes, I think.
Yeah.
So you guys were helping each other with work. With me, that was that was all of our last years. So we were working hard to graduate, even though I had to do another semester. But and I remember you guys were, especially Nate, he was mad at me because I didn't graduate or something. But yeah, like when we would go to sleep, I don't know if we would all go to sleep at the same time or something, but it kind of felt like that. You went to sleep a little earlier sometimes, and
Yep.
and you were like under. We didn't have bunk beds. You were like under a bed pretty much in your like cove. It was really cool. But yeah, we kept the room pretty nice and neat. I think we were always trying to get that apartment or maybe go to 23 and get an apartment. But the lottery system was so weird that we could never really get it. And I think if you if you knew you were staying your third year, we would have did 117 2 years in a row. 117 was the
That would have been
coveted
awesome.
room because you could put 3 or 4 people in there, and it was awesome. It was great. It was like the hangout
Yep.
place. But that's really cool, man. I have one more question for you, and then we can go on to the stories that you have at 24, and we can reminisce, and things will come to our mind as well. My last one is, why did you stay on 24 down all 4 years?
I think it was definitely because I made for and a lot of the guys mentioned this, that Buddha, you were like one of the first. I think you were probably one of the first guys I got close with in Valley Forge, and besides maybe a couple people on my start team, but then it never really, I never really kept up those relationships for some reason. After the start groups stopped meeting, then things changed with some of those friendships. And I think they only went for a few weeks. I don't even know if they still did start teams when Hat came along, but
Yeah, I mean, they had them my whole time there, but
yeah. Okay. I couldn't remember if that was something they dropped, but I forget what the question was. Oh, why I stayed on 24. Yeah. So I just like the guys, I think. And year after year, there was always new people, but they were always cool. And we kind of brought them into our community. And there was always a few people on the floor that just wouldn't really hang out with the floor, which was always interesting to me. There was always a few people that kind of just did their own thing, or their friends lived on another floor and they just hung out there all the time. But there was a core group of us that just got along really well, and it was just a fun place to live. I wasn't like a high maintenance person. Like, I felt like I needed to be in the nicest dorm. I was like, yeah, this is good enough, and looking back, it's like, I don't know how we lived 4 years without air condition, but we did, and we put fans in the windows, and we did what we needed to do. But yeah, I definitely went to bed earlier than you guys, because I remember, I think it was Nate. He came back from home one time, and he brought me one of those things they give you on an airplane to black out, to put it over your eyes so it makes the room look dark. It's just like a cloth thing with an elastic strap. And so I would have that hanging by my bed, and every night, when I was ready to go to bed, I would put that thing on. So if the lights were still on, it made the room seem dark, and I would go to sleep, and I was a good sleeper, so I would sleep through whatever shenanigans you guys were up to at that point. But
Yeah, man, because Halo was the game, man. I still have fond memories of Halo. I only want to play Halo and Madden, and that's all I played at Valley Forge. So I still only want to play those games. I'm not a big gamer today, but yeah, we would play Halo up until 2:00 in the morning, and it would just be that was it, man. But there was one person you didn't get along with at 24 down, I believe. Goes by the name of Mr. No Arms Man, and I believe one time you pushed him. Can you tell us about that?
honestly, I don't even remember that. Was I in one of your videos?
yeah. So
Yeah.
okay, I'm glad this came up, because I was gonna ask you if you remembered. So there was the story is, I was doing this No Arms Man thing, and there was somebody upstairs on 23. I cannot remember who it was. There was somebody that lived basically above the apartment of 24, up there. So it was that side of the hall, it just straight up above the apartment. I don't remember. It was 2 guys that were living in there. One of them I was close with, or close enough with, and the other one I didn't really know. And so I really can't remember who it was. But anyway, I went in to mess with the one guy that I knew, and the other guy got real upset that I was in there, and he shoved me. And so it became this whole joke, oh, how are you going to shove a guy with no arms? So we did a reenactment video where you were the guy that was not happy about it. And we're like, oh, Pete, how are you going to shove a guy with no arms? But man, I cannot remember the 2 guys that were up in that room. It's
What wasn't it? Justin Cottle?
Maybe.
Because
Was
he
he the
was
one that
this pretty boy surfer kid. I remember you saying stuff about him like that, and
Was
he
he-
kind of looked like that.
was it? It wasn't Cottle that pushed me though, was it? You think?
I'm not sure, man.
Oh man, I
don't
can't
know.
remember.
That's funny. I kind of vaguely remember that now that you mention it. Yeah. I definitely remember the No Arms Man stuff, but I didn't remember that I made a guess.
Yeah, because
Yeah, yeah.
we would just do it in the hallway, and people would walk by, and we would like try to get them involved or just ignore them. But you came in and pushed them.
So, I want to I guess, ask you a quick question here. And this is less related to you, but it's a question that you'll know, have the answers to. So, do you still talk to Nate Campin?
I do, yeah. So about 3 months ago, in right around the time COVID was easing up in Florida, my family and I we found cheap tickets to Florida, so we flew to Florida for a vacation, and I jumped in the little pool, and I had my phone in my pocket, so I lost like all my contacts. So I haven't, I don't talk to him as much, but I think we were texting each other like a few months before that or a few weeks before that. But now I've been wanting to text him, but I don't have his number, so I'll have to. You're trying to get him. He's been silent on this whole thing, right?
That's
So,
why.
I know what it was. It was the time you guys were going to do a Zoom call. Couldn't make it for whatever reason, but I reached out to Nate. I was like, "Hey, are you doing the Zoom call?" And he was like, "Oh, I didn't even know about it." And I was like, "Go on Facebook and join the 24 Down group." And I think like Nate is like when he was in college, I think he was on Facebook all the time. I don't think he spends like hardly any time on Facebook anymore. So we might have to reach out to him using another, like we have to text him or something.
Yeah, and that's my biggest thing. Like, I kind of envision that Nate is probably not even really on his Facebook, but
I don't think so.
but he's got a Facebook, so it's like that's like the I think the one guy. I mean, there's still some people we still need to get in the 24 Down group and stuff, but that's like the one guy that consistently I keep like, sending out the invite or mentioning him in comments, or people are bringing up, oh, hey, when's a Nate interview and all this kind of stuff. I'm like, I don't even know if he knows about the podcast or the group at all.
It really
I
is.
don't
It
know.
almost is like he like almost fell off the world. I know you've been in contact with him, but like, yeah, I remember he was on Facebook almost 24/7 or AIM, like, back in college days. But obviously things change. He has a wife, he has a family now. He has to work hard. I understand that, but like we want Nate here. He is a big piece of glue that held 24 Down together and made 24 Down what it is today. So we want him. We want an interview. We want him to disrespect us and be a jerk. I don't even know if he's a jerk anymore. I want to know.
He's
I
not.
want to know.
Well, not only that, I'm sure Nate's got great questions for people that we do interview also. So like, I'm just hoping there's some way we could get a hold of him or whatever.
I'll try to reach out to him. I can try to. I'll see if I can get his contact, his phone number again. So I'm sure I can get a hold of him somehow. He still lives in Lancaster.
Oh, cool. All right, well, so we're gonna, I guess, kind of transition now into just any stories that you want to bring up or want to share about your experience and time in 24. I know we've probably touched on a good chunk of it already, but I mean, I'm gonna let you decide where we go next and hit on any stories you want to hit on.
Yeah, sure. I'd like to go over a couple memories, and if you guys have things to add to those memories, some fun stuff, and then I'd like to share. After that, I'd like to talk about my journey a little bit, personally. I don't know how many people know, but I've always battled anxiety and like depression, anxiety, that kind of thing. I know Buddha knows a little bit. So I'd like to get into that for just a few minutes and just share that story a little bit as well. But for some of the memories, I think when I was trying to think of memories from Valley Forge, there's so many, and listening to the podcast stirred up a lot more. But the things that kept coming that were like highlights for me was the weekend trips. Like I remember probably one of the first ones I went on was a bunch of the guys. It was probably Justin Banks' first semester. And I'm pretty sure Buddha was along. I don't remember if you were even, I don't think you were at Valley Forge yet, but we all piled into, I think Justin brought his minivan back, if I remember right. And I picture us being in a minivan. We all piled into this minivan and drove to his house in Virginia for I think a weekend, like a Friday night, Saturday, and then we came. It was a couple nights. We spent 1 or 2 nights there, but that was so fun. we were in that we were it actually snowed there that night, and we were in the hot tub, outdoor hot tub, and then we were jumping out of the hot tub and doing like naked. Well, we had our bathing suits on, but we were like sliding down the hill in the snow, and then we were jumping back in the hot tub. We were shocking our bodies, but and that was just a fun time. We had, I don't know if you remember anything specifically from that trip. I think we were watching like the NFL Combine or something was on TV too, and it was just a lot of fun.
Yeah, man. The hot tub into the snow was awesome. I think that was that Saturday night that we were there, probably, that it happened. For some reason, I don't even remember where we slept. I think it was in the big living
It
room.
was like
I
all
don't,
over the floor. Yeah.
yeah, I don't remember sleeping, all that stuff. But I remember, like, you know, his girlfriend was there at the time, and then his parents were really cool with everything, which was really awesome. And I remember, like, one of the days they made what was it, like a big jug of sweet tea that was there all weekend long, like the Southern sweet tea. And then there's the first time I had, like, what was it called? The beans and the back. I don't remember what it was called, but they made something Southern, which was really good. You know, it was in Virginia. And then I remember it only snowed 2 or 3 inches. We were ready to go to their church the next day. And then we get up and Justin's like, hey guys, there's 3 inches outside. There's no church today. I'm like, what? You know, from where we're from where Josh is from, even, you know what I mean? And like from New York, I'm like, 3 inches is nothing, bro. It has to be more substantial to close church, you know? But we were like, okay, let's chill. And yeah, I think it was an Astro van. Wasn't it like an Astro van or something like that? Yep. And we were listening to like all this like oldie music going over there. And I was like the straight-laced Christian. And I was like, I don't want to listen to this stuff. But then I was like, oh, I really like this stuff. And it was like making me miss my girlfriend and stuff. We were all like singing along and stuff. It was that was a fun trip. And that was our second year, but Justin and Nate's first year at Valley Forge. That was really fun.
Yeah, that was a lot of fun. And then another trip, I remember Hat was along on this one when we went to church with you, Buddha. I think we went for the weekend, or we just went for Sunday. I can't remember. I think we spent the night. And you did, I think you even, No Arms Man might have made an appearance. Or I just remember Josh with a huge sombrero. I think he put a big sombrero on or something for the kids, because Buddha was doing leading kids ministry. So he got all of us involved with like puppets and stuff. That was a lot of fun. I've been to Buddha's house a couple of times. I always enjoy spending time with his mom and dad, and sometimes his brothers would be there. His brothers were real fun guys as well. And so that was a lot of fun. And you got to.
Yeah, it was. We were there. It was a whole weekend. I don't know. You can't really see this picture that well, but
yeah,
it was a whole weekend. Yeah. We went out to eat. I remember we went out to eat at a really nice restaurant. I remember. I'm pretty sure it was a whole weekend, Buddha, because there's a few pictures from that weekend. I remember there's, I think, a picture of like everybody trying to push me on the train tracks jokingly. There's the picture of us all sitting on Buddha's couch, I believe. Yeah, that was a great trip.
Yeah, man. So yeah, I believe we took 2 cars. I think Josh, Nate, and Pete were in one car, and then it was me, my girlfriend at the time, which was Joy, because she came back with us, I think, and then the twins in the back seat. And so we went up to Yonkers, and Nate would always make fun of me because I said I'm from New York or New York City. He would like, yeah, New York City's in your backyard, right, or something like that. But really, you could see the city from my street. And so we did go down on the subway. We had a good time going down there. Then I think we went to the Hard Rock Cafe or something in Times Square. We looked around Times Square, and you guys stayed at the time. Right next to my house was the church parsonage, and there was 2 apartments. So the upstairs apartment was free at the time. We didn't have anyone living there, so you guys all got to stay up there. I don't know if there was any beds or mattresses, but there was a couch, and you guys just brought sleeping bags or whatever. And it was a fun time. And then that was the highlight. The highlight for me was you guys helped me out in children's church, and I made you guys do all these like weird things, and the kids really liked it. It was a really fun trip.
Yeah, that was a lot of fun. And I remember your dad, like, does your dad like to cook, Buddha?
I mean,
I remember him cooking, like, the one time, I think
breakfast.
Maybe, was it breakfast? I think it was just me and Nate. I can't remember. But we went to like this grocery store, and he bought all this stuff like calamari and everything. And I don't even think I'd ever had calamari before, but I tried it and it was good. And like then we came home after, I think it was after church, we went through, it was like a one-way grocery store. Like you can't go, it's directional. So you go like a certain way through all the aisles. And I was like, wow, New York's interesting, you know? And
Yeah.
for that.
That's Stu Leonard's. Stu Leonard's. I think there's like 3 to 5 of them now, like across like Connecticut, New York, New Jersey, and so yeah, it's a one-way supermarket. They got like really good stuff, high-level stuff there. He loves to buy food. He does cook at times, but my mom does most of the cooking. But yeah, he loves to. I think you guys were at like my surprise 21st birthday.
Oh
I
yeah.
think you guys were at that
Yeah.
too. Yeah, and we were watching. I think. My birthday's in February, and it's always around Valentine's Day. So the All-Star game was on. And I think we were watching that in the living room and stuff like that. Yeah.
Yeah, that was fun. And a couple more trips. I remember you guys were not along on this one, but I've been to where Nate's family lived in DC. I think it was after like the year I said I wasn't going to come back. That summer, I went to visit Nate in DC. That was so fun because if you've ever been to DC, you can, a lot of the memorials and stuff are well lit and they're open to the public 24 hours a day. So there might not be any activities, but you can walk around, you can check stuff out. So I remember sitting, I think it was the Lincoln Memorial. Is that not the Lincoln Memorial, the one that's really tall, like a big, is that the Washington
I think
Monument?
it's the Washington. Yep.
So we were like sitting under the Washington Monument, and then it was like probably like 11, 12 at night. And then I don't even know why, but it's Nate. So we had a push-up contest, like to see who could do the most push-ups or something like that. And we were just walking around the town, and we were taking a lot of pictures. It was a lot of fun. And then one other one, I know I've been to James Majeski's place a couple of times too. I know we went, like a whole bunch of us went the one weekend. And then there was also a couple of times, I believe it was in the summer, where me and Nate went down because he lived near the beach. So we would go down, stay with him, and we would all go to the beach together and have a lot of fun. I love James. I think I remember when he first came with not start team. What did they call that when youth group kids would come?
Oh, the
Breakaway.
Breakaway. So James came for Breakaway, and Buddha was like, I think it was Buddha. He had like these kind of like plastic rimmed glasses on, real clean cut looking guy, and he played the acoustic guitar. And Buddha was like, he looks like Michael W. Smith,
Yeah, I remember that. Yeah.
So we actually met James. I believe it was like a full year, maybe, or the spring before he came to Valley Forge. He was on 24 Down for Breakaway. So that was fun.
That's pretty awesome. I guess one thing from going to James is the time that a bunch of us went. That's the time that myself, Rizzo, James, a few of the girls, that's the time that we got suspended because now that I kind of want to ask you about this now that this is brought up. So I think we touched on this in another episode, and I'm sure I'll touch on it more whenever we get to my episode. But long story short, it was, I think, Carrie's birthday, and we wanted to do something. We didn't know what we wanted to do, but we wanted to do something. And we were at the beach during the day. So we're like, oh, well, maybe we'll stop on the way back and get something small to drink or whatever. Well, in New Jersey, you can't buy any alcohol like after a certain time, whatever. And most of us didn't know this, so whatever. So we went back and we went to James' house, and his mom had in her fridge, she had one Mike's Hard Lemonade and like maybe a like eighth of a bottle of apple pucker. Like not like I'm talking like this is not enough alcohol to get one person even buzzed, much less whatever. And we took it and we split it between the 7 of us as a like way to be like, hey, we're celebrating her birthday, right? And so long story short, things get crazy. Some of the girls start arguing as if they were drunk. They were not drunk, but they were acting as if they were drunk. But the thing I wanted to ask you is, we tried to keep it on the DL, and because I know you were there, Nate was there, Ty was there. There's some other people that were like, we know they're not going to want to drink. it's not out of like we're trying to hide it from them, because we don't want them to know, but it was more of like a respect thing. We didn't want to put you in that situation. But I guess I'm just curious if what you knew about that, what you remember from that. Do you remember waking up to girls screaming at each other? And I guess mainly I want to apologize if I put you in a weird situation at all.
Oh no, that's fine. I totally forgive you guys. No hard feelings. I actually, like I said earlier, I'm a good sleeper. I think I remember that me and Nate were just tired that night, and I don't know what time you guys were yelling and stuff, but we were in this little room. I think I've always slept in the same room. Like I've been to James, his mom's house, like maybe 3 or 4 times, and I think I've always slept in the same little room. There's like it might even be James. I think it's his bedroom, and we were on the floor like sleeping bags or whatever. There was a fan running in there, and we pretty much, I think Justin was in there with us too, Justin Banks. The three of us just called it an early night. We were actually just out. Like I don't even think I knew any of it until maybe we came back to campus and you guys started getting called to called into the office and whatever, and then this whole story comes out, and we got called into the office too. They questioned, I think, everyone that was on that trip, and we just basically said we were sleeping. We knew nothing, so like we didn't get into any kind of trouble or anything. But no, I can't remember hearing anybody being loud or anything. And if I did, I probably just assumed you guys were just having fun. I don't know.
Booty, I don't. It looks like you
Yeah,
want to say
I was
something
gonna
about
say,
that.
man, that happened like my last 2 years. You guys had some fun on the weekends, huh? I was doing ministry in Yonkers. You guys were partying, having a good time. Nah, but I wanted to ask, because obviously with me, I'm a Assemblies of God pastor, so I they say we can't drink, we can't even touch the stuff, right? So I wanted to know. I know Josh, you drink, obviously you shared some stories, but Pete, where do you stand on, and we've talked about this I think on at the dorm and stuff, like where do you stand on alcohol nowadays?
Yeah, so I remember kind of having a problem with that AG stance on that. I don't think it's necessarily. I don't drink a lot, like here and there. I remember, like I think me and Nate, the first weekend we were out of Valley Forge, we went on a camping trip to the beach. We got some beer. I didn't really think it tasted that good, but since then, I think it's all right. But with my diet that I'm on now, I don't do gluten. So like all alcohol, most alcohol has wheat, like a wheat base in it. So sometimes I'll drink like like a hard cider or something, but I don't really, I definitely think it's wrong to drink to the point where you're impaired. Um, you know, but I don't necessarily, I definitely don't believe that you can't be a Christian if you drink or something like that. So I guess I'd take like a I don't know what kind of stance that is, but
Yeah, that it's pretty much not sinful to drink
I
because
don't feel
Jesus drank.
I don't
But
yeah,
obviously, what you said, to be impaired or to be drunk, something like that, that's where you're crossing a line.
that's where I
And
would try.
I would say that too. Yeah.
And the only other thing I would add is, like, I was actually just talking to a friend this morning who grew up in a really hard, had a really tough upbringing. His I think it was his dad was alcoholic and abusive. So he's like, I won't touch it. Like, and so I would also, that would be the only other thing. I would try to be respectful of who I'm around. Like if I'm with him, I'm probably not going to drink just because. And my wife doesn't really drink either, not because she thinks it's wrong, but like she really feels bad on what are you drinking there, Buddha? He's pouring a big glass of water, it looks like. But I think, yeah, like she just feels really bad on alcohol. Like she doesn't feel well. So I think like some of her family will have like drink a little bit when we're together on holidays and stuff. I might have like a glass of wine or something. But
Yeah, I selfishly try to get my wife to get tipsy, but she never touched the stuff, man, and she won't.
So, you were talking about weekend trips and stuff like that. Did either of you? I feel like you guys did, but did either of you ever do the paintballing at the English Twins backyard, essentially?
I never did. I think I remember you guys going. I never had like paintball stuff. I was never really into paintball. I'm sure you guys probably invited me to come. I can't remember, but I'm pretty sure I never went on any of those trips. But it sounds like a lot of fun.
Yeah, I couldn't remember if you guys had gone or not. They had like it wasn't directly in their backyard, but pretty much you go through the backyard a little bit, and they're in the Poconos area, right? So they got all these like slate mountains. And I think a lot of people didn't have paintball stuff, but like enough people had a few guns or whatever that it was enough for everybody to have like a gun, and we just like run around
Yeah,
shooting
I'm
each other.
pretty sure I remember Nate, Justin, like Samsung. I think those guys all. I'm pretty sure they all went. I kind of remember that, but
Yeah.
Yeah, I definitely didn't do it, and I've been paintballing after college, and it feels like war to me. I get so anxious, man. I feel like I'm gonna die, and I can't do it. But I definitely remember aerosol guns. Did you get shot in the throat? Hat, was it you or someone else that got shot in the mouth, and it went down the throat? Was that Samsung or something?
I don't remember. The thing I remember for me personally with the airsoft was this is so dumb.
You used to shoot yourself, or
Well,
someone used to shoot you and make like
So,
numbers or something.
it was me. It was me. I think it was me, Junior, and Mike. I think it was the three of us. So we're like, hey, how cool would it be if we showed up to this intramural basketball game and we had 24. If I had two, you've got four, and someone's got an arrow pointing down, and we like lift our shirts off, and then we got these welts that say 24 down, right? And so from what I remember, like I was like, well, I want the four because my favorite number is four. So I think you, Buddha, you might have been the one that did it. Like,
I think I did, yeah.
like stands there and like has to like shoot the number four into me, and the whole time I'm like, whatever. And then it gets to like, all right, Junior up with the two, and they just didn't do it. So like, I was,
Yo, man, yeah, I remember that, and like, I'm like, why am I doing? Like, there's so many memories that it doesn't come to your head right away until you talk about it, and do this and stuff. But that was crazy. I was like, this guy is nuts. I can't believe I'm doing this.
Pete, did you ever do the airsoft war in the hallway with us at all?
I don't think so. I remember doing that. The only pranking I think I was involved with. Well, that's not really pranking, but I remember going with Buddha the one night, and we were running around the outside of the dorm and just looking for like guys on our dorm that had their window open, and we were like messing with them and stuff. And I think I remember Tom Fadden, we had like an antenna from a car or something, and we were sticking it through the window and like poking him. He's like, "Oh my gosh, what's that?" And he was like freaking out.
I remember that, man, and trying to
You
get
remember that
into
night?
people's rooms. Yeah. Something else came to my. Oh yeah, because of the aerosoft, Henry came to my mind, and I think P can do the best Henry out of everyone.
Yeah.
We got to hear it, man. We got to hear
Oh man, I gotta try to remember what he would say.
it. Hey guys, I don't know.
He'd be like, "Oh hey guys, how are you? Hey Buddha, how are you?"
He's probably still alive, man. He was like, it seemed like he was in his 60s or 70s when he was still there, man. We thought he was with the mafia. He would talk about the mafia, talk to Rizzo about the mafia. It was kind of scary.
Well, at one point he asked, I think it was Rizzo. It was somebody. He's like, "Hey, can I use your computer for a minute?" And he started to use the computer to like look up different like guns and gun parts and things like that. Like, what is going on? Like, yeah.
That's crazy, man. Yeah, Pete, continue, man. You got anything else?
Yeah, I don't think I had too many more memories that I had on my list, unless there's any other things you guys wanted to talk about. I did want to talk about my journey a little bit personally. I I've struggled with anxiety most of my life, like anxiety slash sometimes it would go into like some OCD type tendencies. And it started around sixth grade, and it up through college and even after. But I don't know how many people know this, but I think I went on like some medication while I was in college because I was just so stressed and overwhelmed and stuff. And so basically I got out of college. It was kind of like a roller coaster. I'd be fine for like maybe 6 months, and then I would just do really bad. I remember hearing some of you guys talk about, some dark seasons and stuff. And I hit some rough patches. And I was like to the point where I was like Googling like counselors, and like I was just trying to find some help. I was desperate. This was after I was married probably for a few years, and I got to the point I was so desperate. We found this guy in Harrisburg, and I live about an hour from Harrisburg, and I would drive to see him like once a week. Like, so I would get off work early, drive an hour up, drive an hour back. And that was really helpful. I started to see some breakthrough with that. Eventually I kind of stopped seeing that counselor. I would do good for a while. Then I would hit like I was like, there's gotta be victory over this crap. I don't think we're supposed to live like this. I would say to my wife, like, I just don't feel like myself right now. Like, this isn't me. Like, I would get so down, and just, I would worry about like everything. And it was to the point where I was like, I would be like afraid that maybe my boss was going to be like, your performance isn't very good. You need to, this was after I didn't work for my dad anymore. Like, your performance isn't very good. We're going to have to let you get, like, I felt like it was affecting everything. And I was, it was painful. Like, it was things from my past, some things that maybe I experienced when I was real young, and just maybe some generational stuff that like my family tends to struggle with. But it was really affecting, my marriage. It was affecting me. And so we found this lady, her name was Linda. And I think I saw her for maybe like 5 visits, and she was amazing. Like, she started to hit on some, like, through prayer and through some things, she started to like really pinpoint some things, like, and she could explain to me like what was going on. Like, she was like, you're not losing your mind. You're a normal like, she started to kind of like walk me through this healing process. And it was like awesome. And since then I've been doing really well. But one of the things, and the reason I kind of brought this up, I just feel like that's like part of it. Like, I have a desire to do business and auctioneering, but another desire of mine, or like a calling, if you will, I just feel like I want to see people set free from struggles with anxiety, depression, panic attacks, suicide, and all of that emotional stuff. I feel like there's so many healthcare people out there to help people that have health issues or medical issues, but there's so many times where the emotional people kind of get like written off, or there's no good plan for them, or something like that. So I just feel called to encourage people, to pray with people, and just to see them set free from that stuff. Because I really believe that I felt like the Lord showed me a picture too, like a few months ago, because I would always be fearful, because the only cycle I've ever known is you do good for a while, and then you kind of fall off and struggle for a while. Like, and sometimes the struggling part is longer than the good part. And so I would always have this fear in the back of my mind. Well, eventually you're probably going to hit one of those low seasons again. And I just saw a picture of God like pulling me out of like a pit, and then like covering the pit with like a big rock, and like saying like, you're not going to go back down that road. Like, you don't have to worry about that. And so, I just want to encourage anyone listening. If you struggle with that kind of thing, with anxiety, depression, any kind of emotional pain, there's definitely victory over that. And I'd love to pray with you. I'd love to talk with, if people are more interested in hearing about that journey, I'd love to go into more detail. If anyone is just looking for someone to talk to pray with, and just to like, I would love to just start like being like, I'm gonna pray with you until we see this thing through. You know what I mean? Like, not just like, oh, I'll pray for you, I'll pray for you, I'll think of you in my prayers, but like to really like, I really want to see people set free, because I just know how painful it was for me, and I know how hopeless I felt at certain points. There were certain points where I felt so hopeless. I was like, I just feel like you just so down. And so that was something I really wanted to share. And
yeah, man. I would say, man, it's pretty brave for you to share that, because I knew we would talk about these things at Valley Forge, and you would think that Pete was not going through these things, because Pete just seems like a very calm guy, very put together, very neat, clean, all that stuff, very, close to God and stuff. And you could still be all those things, but still have something going on. Right. So for me, like, generationally in my family as well, my grandparents, they've suffered from, depression, anxiety. My dad, my older brother, and now, I found out about 5-6 years ago that I did as well. And I never really looked at myself as that. I looked at myself as the happy guy, the happy person, always having fun. But I just got into a really bad funk one time or physically I couldn't even move. And I was like, Joy, something's really up. I either have some type of physical illness, or it's something else. It's something mental. I don't know what it is, or even spiritual for that matter. And so I did start to go see someone, and I wasn't very, good about it, because after a couple months, then I would fall off, and, I would be kind of getting better, but I kind of didn't like what the guy was telling me to do. But really what he was telling me to do would help me out, but it was just a lot of work. And so I stopped going, and I haven't seen anyone for a long time now. And yeah, it's depression and anxiety, man. It's horrible, because the people that mostly see it are the closest people to you, and that's your family, especially your wife. And my wife is always telling me to go see someone, so I definitely need to see someone. When you said Linda, I don't know if she does Skype sessions or out-of-state sessions, but I got to find someone good, because I haven't really found someone that I clicked with yet. I've only seen about 3 people over the past 5 years. I actually went on medication at one point, and I felt like it didn't really help. It didn't do really anything. And so I stopped taking it. Maybe it wasn't enough with the dosage or something, but I stopped taking it. But it's like, I got to find something, because like you said, I don't think God wants me to be like this. When it comes to church stuff, I'm good for some reason. I push through everything, and because I have 150 people or more looking my way, I have to produce. But then at home, at home, my wife, my kids, sometimes I let them down because of how I'm feeling. Like you said, you come home, you're not only physically tired, you're mentally tired, you're spiritually tired. You feel like you have nothing to give. And at times, yeah, I let my family down here and there. So this is really something big, because I think the statistic is somewhere over 50% of people in America are going through some type of, mental things, such as, some type of depression, anxiety, like, and so, yeah, this is very important stuff, and a lot of people are going through it.
Well, I think I think one thing that I for sure heard when Pete was talking about this is that Pete wants to, and correct me if I'm wrong, but he wants to make this part of his journey moving forward to actually sit down and pray with people and things like that. And I think the two of you, as close as you guys are, I could see that happening. That Pete's gonna be praying with you over the next, however long it takes. But the other, I guess, kind of important thing I wanted to put out there too, Pete, if you don't mind. So, if most people that are gonna listen to this probably have you as a friend on Facebook already anyway. So obviously, if this is something you're wanting, reach out to Pete. But for those listening that, like, maybe you came to Valley Forge after Pete left and you didn't really know Pete that well, but you heard what he said and you were like, man, I would take him up on, like, giving him a call and stuff like that. Is there an email address or something like that where they can at least get a hold of you?
Yeah, sure. Yeah, my email is Sensenig35. Sensenig is SENSENIG 35 at yahoo.com.
Cool. Yeah, and
We'll be up for that.
yeah, and I wasn't Buddha. I wasn't trying to cut your thing off, but I mean, to me, like, this sounds like something that Pete really wants to do. And Buddha, you, based on what you said too, I mean, like, you guys are already super close, and you guys already had these conversations. I, I think something moving forward like this is just going to strengthen your guys' friendship, strengthen your guys' bond, and this is something that, would have not necessarily ever happened had this podcast started, and that's not to toot my own horn. That's to everybody else who's been on and been willing to be a guest, because this podcast doesn't happen if I'm the only one that wants to do it. It doesn't happen. So everybody else that's done these episodes, like, I mean, we're catching up. We got awesome memories to share, and now Pete's bringing this thing, and I think this podcast has potential to do so many different things. Not only go down memory lane, but here's something that if somebody needs that tool, if somebody needs that prayer companion, Pete's throwing himself out there to be like, hey, I want to do this. And there's other things that I'm sure will happen through other episodes. So I can't thank you guys enough. I can't thank everybody who's been on enough, everybody who's been interactive. Yeah, this is awesome. So.
Yeah, I love that it's we're being honest, and that's the only way these podcasts are going to work. If we're totally honest, and yeah, we don't have to tell every single thing about our lives, but the memories and what we're going through now, it's so awesome to hear what's been going on in our brothers' lives, because right now I feel like it hasn't been 10 years, but it has been 12 years. You know what I mean, for some of us, and it just all those memories bring us back to as we once were, and it still shows that we could still be there for each other. And even Pete said that, and hearing Rick's podcast going back a couple podcasts ago, my heart went out to him, because he's pretty much been spanked by the Assemblies of God. He's been like beat up and kind of almost shunned by them, because it is hard to get a ministry job unless you do have connections, man. And so after that podcast, me and him were just talking, and I was like, bro, I want you to do a little preaching at my church or something, man, because I feel so bad that he was, mistreated by that pastor, and that pastor was just so out of it, man, because of the things that he has gone through and he's experienced. But I mean, we got to get back to Jesus. We got to get back to reconciliation. We got to get back to a better place, and a better way of life, and following him. But this has been an amazing experience hearing from Pete, man. So happy for him and everything, and I'm happy to hear that you're in a better place, because that gives me hope, and that gives others hope that are hearing this as well.
Yeah, definitely. There's so much hope. And a lot of times my struggle was I didn't like to say anything. Like, it's hard. Like, I give you props for saying something, Buddha, because like it's hard to put yourself out there and be like, hey, I'm struggling with something. But like sometimes just doing that, taking that step is something that is really helpful. And it's a step. Sometimes healing is a journey. Sometimes it's like an instant thing. Like, I used to just want it to like instantly go away. But I think in my case, it was a little bit more of a journey, working through some things, like a combination of counseling and prayer and different things. But if you want me to, Buddha, just message me or whatever, because I think that lady would definitely do sessions virtual, because my first session with her, I couldn't make it because of the time. So I went and sat in my car at work. Like, I took my lunch break over that time and we talked on the phone. And so I know that she does that kind of thing.
Yeah, definitely. Send me her info, and we'll keep in touch over this too. That'll be great.
Sounds good.
Awesome. I mean, again, I'm amazed at all the different layers that this podcast brings, but really all the different layers that 24 Down brings. The podcast only kind of shines a little bit of a light on what the whole picture of 24 Down is, and it just blows my mind every day. Here we're sitting down here for an hour and a half, 2 hours, three of us that haven't seen each other in person in years, and it's as if we just walked out of a class together, and now we're waiting to go to lunch. It's and you can have that connection with anybody within 24 Down, whether they live there or if they were part of the group that didn't live but was still part of our group. And man, it's awesome, Pete. Like, you've been a phenomenal guest. Buddha, I'm telling you, you got the co-host skill down pat, brother. I'll let you guys kind of each say something to take us out of here. Before that, though, I guess I'll give my little final words here. First thing is, I want to apologize in advance to both of you. because a lot of people have been asking, hey, when is the hat episode? When is the hat episode? And I've said I wanted to make it to at least 10 or 20 episodes before I do mine. So it's coming up soon. But I'm apologizing in advance, specifically to the two of you guys, because you guys are such good guys, and I'm letting it be known now. I'm going to be very real, and I'm going to be very open in myself, and so there's going to probably be a lot of explicit language in that episode. There's probably going to be some stories that might be uncomfortable for you guys to hear, so I do apologize in advance for that. But the other thing, I guess, and I'll let you guys, like I said, I'll let you guys close out before you guys do, though. Just my little weekly plugs. If you guys are on Twitter and you want to follow us, you can find us at 24 Down Podcast. If you want to email for any reason, it's 24downpodcast@gmail.com. You could check out the Facebook pages. There's one for the podcast. There's a separate one just for 24 Down. They're pretty much the same thing. But find those, and then storefrontier.com/24down. We got shirts. I got one on right now. We got the podcast logos, the non-podcast logos, shirts, hoodies, all kinds of stuff. So thank you guys so much. I will let you guys close it out. So
I'll go first because Pete's our guest. He can close it out. So yeah, I want to say, Josh, I understand, and I'm not I won't be judging you. I want to hear this story, bro. I really do, because my last year, you were like, we kind of like fell off a little bit, and then I left, and I don't know what happened. So I want to really hear what happened. But then also, I wanted to say I got to buy a shirt. We got to support the cast. We got to support the podcast. But lastly, this is like one of those 24 down hallway conversations, man. This is what this podcast is. It's extending 24 down into technology and just like connecting us once again. So I'm so happy we were able to do one of our first episodes with a co-host, which was me, and Josh is doing such a good job. But then to have it with Pete and to connect with him again and see where he's at now and just go down memory lane was just amazing. So for those 24 down peeps out there, guys and girls, even guys that didn't even live on the floor but you were part of us, we want you on here. We went a whole week without a 24 down podcast, and I am upset about that. So you guys need to get on here. Mark Telesho, we want you. Carlos, we want you, bro. We want you guys that were there for a semester, a year, whatever it is. And somebody please find Nate. Nate, where are you? Go ahead, Pete.
Thanks, Buddha. Yeah, it was awesome thank you guys for thank you, Josh, for doing this. This is awesome, the podcast. And I agree, it was really cool having Buddha on with us. I'm excited to just to mix it up with co-hosts and things like that. It's really exciting. Looking forward to all of y'all that haven't done one yet, or when everyone does part 2. Looking forward to hearing more stories. There was one other thing I wanted to say that I forgot. One of the things I miss from 24 Down and even just the campus of Valley Forge is I miss just being around an awesome and diverse group of people. I grew up mainly in my church. There's a few different nationalities, different races, but it's mostly white people, mostly people that grew up in Lancaster County. And I really miss being around, Spanish guys and black guys and brown guys and Asian guys. And we just had such a cool combination of people from all walks of life. And it was like, you wouldn't have, from the outside, you wouldn't have picked that mix of people to just connect like that. I forgot we even had Brazilian guys. So, it was just cool because we had such a diverse group, but we all got along, really well. And I think there's probably a lot of lessons to be learned in that, especially with things going on right now, even in our country and stuff. But I miss that. I miss, walking down the hall and hearing guys like freestyling and stuff. And I remember I wished I could freestyle, I wished I could rap and do some of that stuff. I think I tried it a little bit, mostly just on my own. I probably didn't do it in front of people too much, but But that, it was such a good experience. I think Buddha had asked about, if I learned a lot, like business wise, and I did. But I think the things that really stand out to me from my college experience was just the community that we had, all the memories, all the friends I made, and just playing sports, going to the gym, lifting weights. Like, I don't even feel like I have time to do some of that stuff anymore, too much. But it was just a really good experience, and it was definitely much more than the academic experience, for sure. So just like Buddha and Hat said, I encourage you guys to all sign up. I was a little nervous. I was excited, but I was a little nervous. But it came easier than I expected. It really flowed, and I was like, I don't know if I have enough material and stuff, but I would just encourage all of you guys, don't be nervous. Just sign up and do it, and you'll have a blast.
Awesome. Hat, I got one more question for Pete. As you were talking about where you're from, something came to my head. You had a saying that was like Pennsylvania Dutch or something like that. Do you remember what you used to say that really sounded funny?
I can't remember which one. Oh, I think you're muted.
Something in a cup. It's. Do you remember?
Oh man, I don't remember.
It sounded like it's my something in a cup.
I know. I can't remember what the phrase was. I know I know one of the a lot of the Dutch language sounds like you're really cursing. It's kind of like speaking Russian, where it sounds like really harsh, and like a lot of like really harsh German syllables. But one saying that I can't remember exactly what that one was, but one is like "Kannst du Mucke fangen?" And it doesn't mean any. It means like, can you catch flies? But it sounds like inappropriate or something. But it's just funny how languages do that. But I just can't remember the exact phrase. But
it sounded like "it's my shtick in a cup" or something like that. Does that bring any memories back?
I mean, I can remember the words, but I can't remember what the exact phrase was.
All right, so if you're listening and you remember what it is, you got to let us know on Facebook or something.
That's awesome. Well, thanks again, guys. It's been a blast as always. And we'll look forward to seeing who's going to be on the next episode.
Awesome, man.
Awesome.
Thanks, bro.
Thank you.
See you, Pete.
See you guys. Yep.
Bye.
All right, we're good. Awesome.